So the new Unearthed Arcana just dropped, and I figured I'd just jump straight into it and start going through everything, telling you what I think. And I realized that there is a bunch of stuff in here. There's 3 whole classes, subclasses, a bunch of feats, spell lists, and a huge rules glossary. So there's a lot to go through. What I instead wanted to do is simply go through it a bit of a time. So in this video, I'm going to cover the Bard, and I'm going to compare that to the Bard from 5e. And then we're going to go over the rest of the content in other videos. So if you want to follow along for that, make sure that you click the subscribe button down below. But aside from that, let's just jump into it with a look at the Bard from the new Unearthed Arcana expert classes for One D&D. First thing we should note is, of course, that the Bard has a class group now, and it has a primary ability given. I'm not going to read all the flavor text. I am not sure that it's much changed, and I don't really care that much. What I'm interested in is, of course, the mechanics of the class. So if we scroll down a bit, we can see that there has been some changes made to the features that the Bard gets in the One D&D playtest material here. First and foremost, Jack of all trades is moved down. The font of Bardic inspiration is moved down as well from level 5 to 7. Expertise comes 1 level early now, so instead of getting it at 3rd level, you get it at 2nd level. And counter charm is gone from 6th level. You have, let's see what else is different here. We now have something at level 7, which of course is font of Bardic inspiration. There is expertise at level 9 instead of level 10. We get a subclass feature at 10th level, which we didn't get before. And then magical secrets used to come at level 14, 18, and 10, and now only comes at level 11 and level 15. There's also been a change to the capstone feature and when it comes, because usually you would get your superior inspiration at 20 level. Now you get it at 18th level, and you instead get an epic boon at 20th level. That's something that'll go, that they're saying is equal for all classes. So capstone features are now level 18 and epic boons come in at level 20. Besides that, the notable difference we're seeing here is that it's no longer spell slots per level and spells known. It's prepared spells per level. So this table now shows both the number of spells you can prepare for each level and also your spell slots for that level. They have actually changed prepared spellcasting. Not only have they given the Bard prepared spellcasting, they've also changed how it functions, because before you'd usually get something like wisdom plus your level prepared spells. That's what the cleric got at least, but now it's actually matching the Bard's spell slots. So it can prepare 3 2nd level spells at level 5, 2 3rd level spells, and 4 1st level spells, and so on, which is quite a rework, in fact, because it more sort of decides for you how many different spells of a level you could get. So at level 9, you're going to choose your 9th level spell at the start of your day. You're not going to be able to prepare 4 different ones and then use the one you want. So that is quite a big change that we're already getting here, in addition to the Bard being a prepared spellcaster, which of course is a big change in and of itself. All right, so let's move down the list and take a look at what the Bard does now. We don't see a lot of changes in the class features. Starting points here with the hit points, those are the same. The proficiencies are the same. The only real change we get here is that the Bard no longer gets proficiency in hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and sword swords. Instead, it only gets simple weapons. Now we don't know what simple weapons entails. Perhaps short swords are simple weapons now. We don't know. So it's impossible to say how big of a nerf this is, but I could see it be something of a nerf, because of course rapiers and sword swords were usually a melee Bard's preferred choice, and hand crossbows were of course also very popular. So not a lot to go over there. What we are interested in is of course Bardic inspiration, and we already see some huge changes here. So we have the old Bardic inspiration on the left over here, and as you may remember, it's charisma modifier per long rest. It's adding a Bardic inspiration die to the roll, and it stays with a character for 10 minutes. So you deal it out as a bonus action, and that character can then use it for 10 minutes. And it was something where typically some people would forget to use it. They wouldn't get an opportunity to use it. You really had to do it sort of in advance. So what they've done now is they've changed it. So it's a Bardic Inspiration die is giving out as a reaction when another creature fails a d20 test. So that's any d20 test. and then you give them that die, and they can potentially turn their failure into a success. So there's no more wasting the die, because they can now do it only when it fails. Before, you would do it before you knew whether you failed or succeeded. And it's done as a reaction, so there's really no way that other characters can forget it. Of course, it is somewhat of a nerf, maybe, that it has to be done as a reaction, because you can only do it once per round of combat then. Whereas with the bonus action stuff, you could sort of give them out before combat, and that wouldn't take up your actions in combat. But I think it sort of evens out, because doing it this way is stronger when you do it. You can't just do it anymore, or you can't have Bardic Inspiration be used more than once per round now. Then we get an addition here, which is heal, where the Bard can use the Bardic Inspiration to heal a creature as a reaction when it takes damage. I think this means that it is healed after taking damage, and if that's the case, well, that's pretty crazy, because then you'd be at 4 hit points, you're taking 20 damage from the ogre, you drop to 0 hit points, then the Bard comes in and heal you, so you never go down. You go down for an instant and you come back up. And that's a Popinjay effect, and if that works the way that I think it works, where the healing comes in after the damage, well, then that's pretty strong and something that we use a lot. Of course, it will compete with the other use of Bardic Inspiration, but overall, this is a buff, clearly a buff. Now, what is not a buff is that the number of uses has now been reduced to proficiency bonus instead of charisma, which means that instead of starting out with probably 3 Bardic Inspiration die, you now only start out with 2, and they will scale slower, but they will of course end up with 6 instead of 5. But that's late gameplay. Not a lot of characters get to that level. This becomes even more of a nerf when you realize that Font of Inspiration, which allowed you to get your Bardic Inspiration back on a short rest, has been moved from level 5 to level 7, so you get that a whole lot later. So you're really having 2 of these dice per day for the first 4 levels, and then 3 of them per day for level 5 and 6, and then at level 7 you unlock the true power of the Bard, and you can use it multiple or many times per day, but until level 7 you're really not going to get a lot of uses out of your Bardic Inspiration. Spellcasting, alright, a lot to unpack here in spellcasting as well, because spellcasting has been changed a lot. So Prepared Spellcasting, as we discussed, that's already a big change, and it is a big buff because you can swap out your spells. What is not a buff is that they now have to choose from different schools, so they can choose from Divination, Enchantment, Illusion, or Transmutation, heavily limiting the number or the available spells they have. These spells are, of course, from the Arcane spell list, and, well, yeah, it's a nerf in the range of spells they can use, probably. I don't know how many of the spells were outside these schools to begin with, but there are some spells, some evocation spells in particular, I would say, that are gonna fall off the Bard's list. Beyond that, not a whole lot has changed for the Bard, so the main thing here is Prepared Spellcasting and a spell list that is limited in a different way. Then we have Expertise at 7 level, as we said, so that's just coming in a level earlier, and then we have Songs of Restoration, which replaced Song of Rest, which was a not very great feature. Songs of Restoration is a great feature. It simply gives you healing spells for free. So you get your healing word, you get your lesser restoration, you get your mass healing word, you get your freedom of movement, and you get your greater restoration. All of these spells are great. All of these spells are very usable, and you always have them prepared. So basically the Bard becomes a very capable healer, I'd say. Not a bad healer at any rate. And this is, for me, a better feature than Song of Rest, which was quite underwhelming. Alright, so Feat at 4th level, no surprises there. Jack of all trades from 2nd level to 5th level, so it comes in a lot later, and I think that's pretty good because the Bard dip for Jack of all trades was a bit too easy to get, so moving that down is probably good. They also nerfed it because now it only applies to ability checks where you use a skill proficiency, whereas before you'd also get to apply Jack of all trades to initiative rolls, encounter spells, spellcasting ability checks, stuff like that. Now they can only apply to stuff you would have a skill proficiency for, which I think makes a lot of sense because there were some wonky uses for Jack of all trades before that I don't think were intentional, and this way it's a lot cleaner, but it is obviously also a lot worse. Getting that initiative bonus was a really good thing about being a Bard. Then we get to that subclass feature. We are obviously going to take a look at the subclass they have added in here later on or at the end, but for now, moving on to Font of Bardic Inspiration, as mentioned. That one is pretty much the same, except the name has changed a bit, but now it comes 2 levels later, and I don't like this change. I simply think it's too late for the Bard to get more uses out of its Bardic Inspiration, it's going to feel like so little uses, so few uses you have with Bardic Inspiration until you hit that 7th level. I probably would have wanted Bardic Inspiration to go up to 5th level, and then you could put Jack of all trades, as far as I care, put that down to 7th level, because Jack of all trades is nice, but it's not something that's necessarily going to make your class or your playing experience that much more better, which Font of Bardic Inspiration is. Before Font of Bardic Inspiration, you're just not going to have as much fun, in my opinion. What they did do with Font of Bardic Inspiration that is a big change is that they let you keep your Bardic Inspiration die if a creature rolls a 1 on it. So that's pretty notable, because getting back the useless die, so to speak, can be really good and can give you a lot more dice during an adventuring day. Another feat at 8th level, and then we have expertise at 9th level, so just 1 level earlier than usually, nothing too big here. And then we have a subclass feature at 10th level, which is, of course, as mentioned, a change. And magical secrets now comes in at level 11. I kind of like that, because you have your martial classes usually getting better on level 11. It's sort of a multi-class split down the middle gatekeeping thing, where you want to give characters powerful features at 11th level, so you can't get powerful features from 2 classes at the same time. I kind of like that. Magical Secrets was also changed, so now you instead choose a spell list, and then you can prepare spells from that spell list, and you can choose from any school of magic. So you can take Arcane to get access to all Arcane spells when you prepare spells, instead of only Divination, Transmutation, and so on. Whether or not that's better than the Magical Secrets we had before, it's hard to say. I think it's probably better, because you're going to have access to a lot of spells by doing it this way, and you can change those spells out. But you do only get Magical Secrets twice now instead of 3 times. Again, I think that's fine. And again, I don't think many bards got to level 18 anyway, so it's probably not going to matter that much. Another feat at 12th level, and then we have a subclass feature at 14th level, more Magical Secrets at 15th level, and a feat at 16th level, and then we have Superior Bardic Inspiration at 18th level. So that was Superior Inspiration before. One of the most underwhelming and uninspired capstone features. Roll initiative and you have no Bardic Inspiration. You regain 1 use. Yay! Now you regain 2 uses. It's still pretty boring. I don't know. I think they should really make that better somehow, make it more fun. That's not a very interesting feature at all, and it's unlikely to ever come into play. And then they have that epic boon at 20th level instead. So it's a buff in that sense, because you didn't get that before. Overall, has the Bard been buffed or nerfed? I think it's kind of hard to say. I think overall Bardic Inspiration is buffed when you get past 7th level. Before 7th level, it's going to feel like a nerf. You're going to have fewer uses. The uses may be better. I think the design here is better, but having fewer of them is going to feel worse, and that feels to me like a nerf. As I said, with spellcasting, it's hard to say yet if that's a buff or nerf. I would have to go out and compare which spells they would have access to under the old and new. Not going to do that for this quick video. I think it's probably a buff, because prepared spellcasting is just so much better. So I think that's better overall. Songs of Restoration, definitely a buff. Jack of all trades coming in later, that's a nerf. Overall, I think the Bard is pretty much in the same place where it was before, except that it's less of a dipping class now, which I think is good, but it's also still a quite powerful spellcasting class, no doubt about it. We're also going to take a quick look at the Bard subclass. So we have the College of Law, and the College of Law is, of course, also the one we got in the basic rules for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. You get some bonus proficiencies. You can choose, or you get these 3, but you can, if you already have them, you can choose different ones. Then you have Cutting Words. I think Cutting Words works pretty much as it did before, but I'll just quickly College of Law. Here we go. Let's see. Cutting Words, ability check, damage roll. Okay, so now you're not going to be able to subtract from a damage roll, but you only get to use it when they succeed. You don't have to use it straight away or before you know whether it succeeds or fails. So that's actually pretty decent. I think it's a good change. I don't think too many people used it to reduce damage anyway. It was obviously always going to be better to reduce attack rolls, and this way you can sort of have a creature hit your ally it's going to deal a lot of damage, then you use cutting words. I like that. It's a good change. But it's, for me, it's not a lot more powerful, but it is a bit more powerful. Then we don't have additional magical secrets anymore, and a lot of College of Law bards are going to be sad about that, because that's basically the reason why you took College of Law. You don't get that anymore. Now you get Cunning Inspiration, which means that creatures that you inspire get advantage basically on their Bardic Inspiration rolls, and I think that's a cool feature. I think it's also very powerful, not to be underestimated. That can make your Bardic Inspiration really, really potent as well. Improved Cutting Words. Whenever you use your Cutting Words feature, you also deal psychic damage to the creature equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die plus your Charisma modifier. So that's actually a lot of damage over an adventuring day, I'd say, because you're going to deal out maybe 1d10, 1d12 plus Charisma as a reaction whenever you use this feature that is already pretty punishing. So I like that as well. It's going to make a difference. It's going to be felt, I think. And then we have Peerless Skill. When you make an ability check, you can expend one use of Bardic Inspiration and add the number rolled. You can choose. Okay, so now you only do it when it fails, where before you could do it before the DM tells you whether you succeed or fail. So now you can basically just use Bardic Inspiration on yourself, but only on ability checks. Not the most impressive 14th level feature, I'd say. All right, so that was the Bard and the news on Unearthed Arcana for One D&D. Very interesting stuff in here, I'd say. I think that I'm overall pretty pleased with where the Bard ends up. It's not anything where the class is ruined. There were some few things I'd probably change. I think the font of Bardic Inspiration is coming in a bit late, but the Bard is still a very strong class, and I don't think it has gotten a lot weaker with these changes. So yeah, the Bard is in a pretty good spot, and I'm kind of excited about what I'm seeing, even if there's nothing that completely blows me away in terms of new stuff. I think there is a lot of, I think they've cleaned up some of the issues that you may have had with the Bards, and they got rid of Counter Charm, which was just useless, stuff like that. Clarified some stuff. I think it's a pretty good overall thing. I'm going to be putting videos out on more stuff from the Unearthed Arcana, so if you want to keep track of that, you can subscribe to the channel. And beyond that, there's not a whole lot left to say, except thank you for watching, and I hope that I'll see you in the next video.